Hello and welcome back to the Brand AI podcast. I'm your host Lenka. This is the show for digital agencies and innovative brands focused on predictable growth. We deliver the AI solutions and systems required to streamline client acquisition and automate service delivery, ensuring you are maximizing your capacity to scale. Today, we're thrilled to introduce Luke Thorne, the founder of WebFresh. Luke has truly navigated the evolution of the digital world. Starting his career in the demanding field of IT security and network management, he quickly realized the need for a different path. He transitioned from managing servers to building his own business, where he discovered a passion for SEO that helped him grow. That journey led him to found WebFresh, the agency that has stayed ahead of the curve by evolving from traditional SEO to specializing in a cutting-edge field of AI search strategy. Luke, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Lenka. I'm very, very excited to jump in and see what comes out of today.
Let's start at the beginning. That's so interesting. Just tell me, how did you go from working in IT security into starting your own marketing agency?
Well, burnout, basically. I used to be on the road all the time and have very tight deadlines, very insane hours. Some nights find myself at 3 a.m. getting a call out to a broken server or some network being down somewhere. And so I had to be on site and in all different scenarios, and it was not a good life. So I started like you said, an IT business, sort of doing a similar thing on a smaller scale, and found that business was definitely the right way to go, but not that business. So that's how I got into marketing from there.
Why SEO in the first place?
Yeah, well, actually, I needed to market my new business in IT, and I found, I just thought, okay, I need to be found on Google. How do I do that? Okay, obviously did a Google search on how to get found on Google. Found this thing called SEO, as you do back in 2011. Research it and then go to a bookshop. There were more bookshops around that. Got a book on SEO, and then the rest was history. Really, I loved it just from day one. As soon as I started ranking, I would get calls, and so I thought, hey, maybe I should be doing SEO instead of IT because I like it a lot more.
What a story. Really clearly you like it because you stuck with it for so long. And you're really good at this. Amazing. Let's talk about AI search strategy because, it's a big hot topic. How and why is it different than just from regular SEO?
Yeah, I think it's a different focus or an additional focus on top of SEO. What I think what happens in a customer mind, they think, okay, AI search is completely different to Google search, where that's sort of where people are going wrong. AI search is 80% traditional search practices, right? So, from your content authority to keywords to schema and technical optimizations, a lot of it is what you're doing in your SEO already, but with a slight twist. So I'd say it's an extra 20% that you wouldn't necessarily focus on if you have a tighter focus on certain areas like entity schema, views, conversational copy, obviously making sure that you've got great brand mentions, across the web. Those things will help push, that's that extra 20% that will help push you into AI or get excited in AI search a lot more. Yeah, if that makes sense. There's a slight difference there, but it's not a huge amount.
Yeah. Do you reckon this percentage will change in the next couple of years? Will it become maybe 60-40 or something like that? Or do you reckon it will stay the way how it is?
I think as a platform requirements change, I think platform requirements and actually the economics of how an online business works, I think there's probably going to be a move away from your traditional web presence, if that makes sense. So I don't think brands are going to necessarily I don't think a website is going to be necessary, let's say in 10 years. Because AI, you'll have your information on platforms like let's say for instance like a Shopify, right? You'll upload all of your product information there, all of your offers, your terms, your shipping info, etc. And that'll all be ingested by AI. And then AI will be able to serve up that information in whatever format a user needs at that particular time. And so that could be in the form of a website, or it could just be in form of product recommendations. And so it's all going to be more, what do you call it, agentically generated. I think there's something to be said for a brand experience, but it's going to become less of a focus. The design and the aesthetics is going to become less of a focus from the company point of view. But the bigger focus will be on, like, is this company's shipping time and warranty better than this next company? And is their pricing better? Is the quality of their product better? Is that reflected in the sales and return percentages of the product, etc.? So AI is going to be more looking at those elements rather than just your other informational elements that are visible on the public web. Those all kind of go back end, in my opinion.
That's so interesting. I never thought of it this way. You kind of touched base on this, but what do you think besides of the SEO would be another kind of most important thing that
Mm.
the brands will need to do online to stay relevant?
Yeah, well, I think your brand reputation is everything. So having a really good PR setup and cadence and having that very strategically implemented is going to be very, very relevant, because it's all going to come down to customers. Are they going to trust your brand through the PR placements that they find your brand from? Social is going to be still a very big factor. But if we're looking at, let's say, for instance, like third party reviews on, trusted review sites, both user generated and, authority figure generated, things like media appearances, citations from, of specific research that you've um, initiated, those kinds of things. I think that PR element is always going to be very, very relevant, and more so um, relevant. So, media and PR for sure.
Going a little bit deep dive into your agency, what do you reckon is the hardest part about running successful but small agency?
Yeah. When you're small and you don't have, you know, uh, roles for everything under the sun, like sales, marketing, implementation, accounting, all these different aspects. When you're a founder, kind of have to be across all of them. The hardest thing that I found is switching mindset from, okay, now I'm in sales mode for this month, right? Because we're either just changing our marketing offer, or we're trying to attract a new type of customer, or um, whatever it might be, the sales focus. Some months I might be devoting 80% of my time to that, and then like 20% of my time to on the tools, strategic, specific campaign requirements, right? When capacity is needed, then I might switch 80% to like on the tools, and then 20% sales focus. And so I think that's a really, really difficult aspect of a small agency like ours.
I think you mentioned when we spoke that you built an AI tool to bring back old leads. Can you tell
Yeah.
us what it
Yeah.
is and how does it work?
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't have a name. I think I just call it like a lead reactivation
Love
automation.
it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So for old leads that have, it's either not been the right time, budget hasn't been allocated for a specific time period. So they say, look, let's circle back in next quarter or next 6 months, or it's just not progressed because of one reason or another. This lead reactivation system just means that rather than 6 months down the track, when rather than just having like a random calendar alert that I might miss because I've been distracted with something else, and I have to then write an email, and it all relies on my mental capacity and brain power. This lead reactivation system just looks at my CRM. It looks at, okay, who's in what bucket, who's in the follow up stage, who's in the closed loss stage, or who's in the different stages, but then trigger this automation that if we haven't heard from them or whatever in 3 or 6 months, then it will send out an automated email process. It'll start that process and will ask me each time it wants to send an email, do you just want to approve the email? All I have to do is click a button and then it goes out and starts the process. So that's been pretty transformative and helpful.
What is one big mistake or a challenge you learned the most from in your career?
Probably hiring. Yeah, I've made, I wouldn't necessarily call them mistakes. Maybe they were mistakes. I don't know. But I've had a lot of good lessons out of hiring, and realizing, fit is really a big thing, and just sort of learning and understanding, okay, what do I want the company culture to be, and what kind of individual fits there and is going to bring the most value to our customers and also our team and our culture, and who's going to fit well. So I think, yeah, hiring has, yeah, lots of lessons there from, lessons around, different individuals have different needs around communication, or, they like to work differently, and different roles suit, one kind of personality a lot better than they do another personality. So those have been some really good lessons.
Yeah. What do you think is the next big thing in a AI world and online marketing? Where we heading?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like I mentioned before, I think the next big thing is going to be that departure from your traditional website. Because I think that's the biggest opportunity for disruption. Like, you might have seen the deal between Shopify and OpenAI, for Shopify to basically have access to, sorry, not Shopify, for OpenAI to have access to all Shopify's product feeds. So that means that someone can purchase a product directly with it and pay for the product directly on the chat app on ChatGPT. And that's very transformative, because people are doing more and more product research on AI chats, and they're also going to be able to purchase from a handful of recommendations that are highly tailored to them and their past history and what AI knows about them, right? And so it just makes a lot of sense for in the e-commerce world for that to be the trajectory, rather than a user looking at a bunch of different brands and then doing lots of back and forth on products. An AI with context and deep knowledge of someone that can really get a recommendation and have the user trust that, it's going to be a good recommendation based on their preferences, etc. So I think that's going to be the next big transformation, big shift in how we purchase online. There's other things like AI call assistants and those kinds of things that are happening. I don't think they're they'll be disruptive, and there'll be a lot more spam calls, etc. But yeah, I don't know if they're as transformative as that whole e-commerce
Yeah.
situation. Yeah, that's sort of my
Okay.
prediction.
Well, look, let's have a chat in next 2 years and see if your
Mm,
prediction will become a
I'd love
true.
that.
Yeah,
That
let's
sounds
do
good.
that.
Yeah.
One more question I have for you. If you could give your younger self one piece of business advice, what it would be?
Oh, that's a good one. My younger self, a piece of business advice. It'd probably be, look, focus on the 80/20 and don't grind so hard. Like, look at how you can leverage your time a lot better, rather than slaving away at a whole bunch of things that suck up a lot of time but don't produce much in the way of moving the business forward. And not get distracted on the small thing, small things. Coming from a technical background, right? I, I, I I liked initially early on in the business to really get in the weeds and involved in all of the minutiae of the technical details, etc. Right? And I wasn't thinking like a business person. I was thinking about, oh, how can I make this the most technically optimized solution for a customer, which was great because the customer would get a great experience and they'd get a great solution, but none of it was scalable, and all of it was very, very, very bespoke and not, it wasn't really a business. It was more like a multiple hobbies,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
I can rely on this so much. I call myself recovering perfectionist. Also
Yeah.
very oriented on details and like just want to make
Mm,
everything perfect. But as soon as you start running a business, you realize that
mm,
consistency is more important and just keep your eye on a ball and don't get
mm.
distracted with little things that don't necessarily move the needle. Yeah. Very
Yeah,
good
I
advice.
think I think as well, like it was a lack of understanding around the market and the customer, right? And it took me a very long time to really understand my ideal customer profile, and what really was the simplest solution. I would always go technical and invent these, very complicated solutions, but simplicity is one of the biggest things you can pursue in business, because then you're creating something that more people can understand and it's a lot easier to support and grow, etc. So that was another one.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Luke. If our audience would like to learn more about WebFresh or like get in touch with you, what would be the best way?
Yeah, you can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can send me a DM or a connection request, and yeah, I'd love to chat. Otherwise, you can check out just my website at webrefresh.co. And yeah, I've got a bunch of information about us, who we are, and we also offer free audits for businesses who would like an SEO audit.
You hear that, guys? Free audit. Jump on it. All links will be down below in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and review, and I'll be soon back with another interesting topic. Thank you. Look, bye.
Thanks for having me, Linka. See you.